Hello guys, welcome back to this channel. Let's talk about HTML elements. One thing we need to first note here is that an HTML file is made up of various elements or tags. So these elements are responsible for creating web pages and defining the content in that particular web page. So an HTML tag or element is usually consisted or made up of an opening tag, the content, and then the closing tag. So the content is inserted in between the opening tag and the closing tag. So technically, an HTML element is a collection of an opening tag, the attributes, the ending tag, and then the content in between these two tags. But what we also talked about in the previous video is that some elements do not have an end tag or any content. Okay, so these elements or HTML elements are called empty elements or self-closing element, or sometimes people call them void elements. So for example, here we have our paragraph, we have the opening tag, here we have the attribute, we have the content, and then we have the closing tag. As for the empty elements, here we have the HR. So we just have an opening tag, but we don't have any content or any closing tag anywhere. So that's how you define this particular empty tag. Another empty tag that we can have here is the break line tag. And then we also have the image tag, which is an empty tag. So you don't need a closing tag, or you don't need any content in between the opening and the closing tag. So that's it for an example. So all the content, as you can see here, all the content written between the body element. So the body element is here. So what we write inside the body element is what will appear on the screen on the web page. Okay, and also we say that empty tags or empty elements. So all the elements in HTML would not require to have a start tag or an end tag. So some elements will not have the content or an end tags. For example, these that I have just shown you here. Okay, so that's it for the empty tag. So now let's talk about two categories of HTML elements. Okay, so for the default display and styling in HTML, all the elements are divided into two categories. So we have the block level element and the inline element. So what we call by block level HTML element, these are the HTML elements which will be used to structure the main parts of a web page by dividing a page into coherent blocks. So a block level HTML element will always start with a new line, and it will take the full width of the web page from the left to the right. And these particular HTML elements can contain block level as well as inline elements inside them. So for example, an example of a block level HTML element is, for example, the paragraph element here is a block level HTML element. We also have the div element. We can say my first div, and I'll close like this. So we have other block level elements as well. So for example, the article, the header element, the table. And as I said, these particular elements are used to actually structure the main parts of a web page by dividing a page into blocks. And also these elements will start with a new line. For example, here, as you could see, I have my div here. So it is occupying the whole line. I do not need to put the break line here in order for the next HTML element to start on a new line. So because the div is a block level element, the P tag as well is a block level element. The H1 here as well is a block level element. So it will occupy the line, the full line, and then the next one, the next HTML element will start on a new line. That's what we can actually say about block level elements. So the second category of HTML elements is what we call the inline elements. So the inline elements are those elements which differentiate the part of a given text and provide it a particular function. So these HTML elements do not start with new line and take width as per requirement. So the inline HTML elements are mostly used with other elements. So for example, the anchor element here is an inline element. You have the image here, for example. So as you can see, it does not start with a new line. If I remove the break line here, you will see that the hyperlink and the image are going to show on the same line, okay, because these are inline HTML elements. Okay, so I will simply say inline elements like this, just to show you. And up here, we talked about block level element. Block level elements. And I would say, so this is just how to comment your code in HTML. Okay. Like this. So we also have other inline elements like the image, the input, the italic tag, the button. So these are examples of inline HTML elements. So like I said, inline elements are those elements which differentiate the part of a given text and provide it with a particular function. And these elements do not start with a new line and take width as per requirements, the requirements that you will assign to them. So that's all I wanted to talk to you about concerning HTML elements. I hope the video was informative enough, and if you liked it, feel free to subscribe to the YouTube channel for more videos like this one. Let's meet in the next video.